Welcome to Turn Up, Bear Down. It is early Sunday morning. How early? It's about 12:15. We're less than 12 hours from game time, but we're here to deliver you the wonderful details you need to know about this game between the Bears and the Houston Texans. I'm here with my co-host, Matt Jansen. What's going on?
Hey, yeah, we're up grinding, man. We're trying to give you the most up to date coverage here. Just about a couple minutes away from kickoff.
Yeah.
And we're a good football team, even though we didn't play like it last week. So
Yeah, but
excited to be here, ready to get started.
The guys did have a good week of practice, and they were well prepared, but didn't turn out the way we wanted. So, all right. You know what's crazy?
I don't know what's happening right now.
You know what's crazy is the Bears are taking on the Houston Texans, and honestly, I never thought we would play against Lovie Smith like this late in his career, I guess, so to speak. It's been 10 years. So 2012 was Lovie's last year as the Bears head coach. But can you believe it's been 10 years since he was a coach and he's still coaching in the NFL in a different team? And actually, this is after he coached for the University of Illinois. He was not good there. He got a job he was not good there. They did not have success. And I learned that one day he was like, I got tired of shaving, and so started growing the beard out, and he's grown it out ever since. True story.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, he was known as a D coordinator, and I know he went back into that after coaching. Obviously, he went to one of my college teams in the University of Illinois, and I'd like to think kind of got them back. Right before Bielema took over, who's the current head coach, I'd like to think kind of got them back into a better place where they could possibly, like this year we're looking at possibly a bowl game for them. And, a lot of those players now are players he brought in. So it's hard. We've always talked about it. Lovey's probably one of the hardest guys on the planet to hate. He's just one of those guys that he's a soft-spoken, real respectful, intelligent. He's a man of the people. Right, Scotty? He's a man of the people.
Absolutely. Yes.
So
loved by all players. And really, if you think about the guys he coached in Chicago, Brian Urlacher, Lance Briggs, Olin Kreutz, Alex Brown.
Peppers.
Peppers, Charles Tillman. A lot of these guys are actually up for potentially going to the Hall of Fame this year. But
no guys that were on offense. Anyways,
no guys on offense. Well, Olin Kreutz, starting center.
I'll give it to him. Big Cat.
Yeah. Big Cat was kind of out of there by the time Lovie got there, I believe. But
Greg Olson
was only there for a few years, and then they decided that he would be better at.
That was Jerry Angelo's decision, was it not?
That was a bad decision. He was there.
Terrible.
He was there the 2010 year because he caught that touchdown against the Seahawks in the playoffs.
Seahawks, yep.
So
a Cuddy dime, another Cuddy dime to talk about.
Yeah, and even Jay Cutler, and really I think any Bears fans would tell you if Lovie just would have gotten the quarterback right. It would have been hard to see with his defense is not a team that doesn't win Super Bowl, right? Because most
True.
of those years that Lovie was the Bears coach, because 2012, so the Packers won the Super Bowl in 2010, and we played them at our stadium in the NFC Championship. But Rodgers really hadn't had any success in the playoffs until that year, and they were the 6th seed actually. So, All right, now we're getting way off topic, but also not because Lovie is the opponent this week. So he's coming back to Chicago. Bears are 3-point favorites. We got CBS. We'll probably have the worst crew calling the game because it's the Texans and the Bears. There's the Bills and the Dolphins are playing at the same time. I think the Chiefs are playing a noon game. So not a lot of reasons to watch the Bears and the Texans unless you're a Bears fan. Just hyping it up as it is. Let's look at some players to watch. So another really smart guy from the University of Stanford, Davis Mills, just as one of his predecessors, you could say, Andrew Luck, even though they didn't play for the same team. Dameon Pierce has been really a popular guy lately. He's taken this position Marlon Mack was one of the guys who's going to be a running back for the Texans this year, and I actually drafted him in a late round in fantasy, and then they found out that Damian Pierce was going to be the guy instead. Derek Stingley was a highly touted cornerback. I think he went to LSU. That's right? Yeah. And he will look to make some plays as well for the Texans and a really young crew because of the whole Deshaun Watson situation. And then for the Bears, I mean, it's got to be Justin Fields. Like, he's had 2 games where he really hasn't done that much in the passing game. I mean, he's made enough plays. Week 1, last week, he didn't really throw the ball, but 11 times. And, yeah, we want to see him do more. David Montgomery coming off a strong game against the Packers. We want to see more of 32. We know he is the identity. And then Kyler Gordon, he got roasted and toasted, you could say, last week against the Packers. So can he have a better game? Probably going up against Brandon Cooks, potentially as they rotate guys in and out, unless Jalen Johnson just shadows Cooks the whole time. What do you think about these players? Any interesting facts or anything you want to talk about with these guys?
Yeah. Davis Mills still doesn't scare me. And honestly, besides the fact that he's, him and Mike Glennon have, common neck sizes, I probably wouldn't be able to pick him out of a lineup. Damian Pierce is a guy, and again, just touching on it. I think if you're the Bears, aren't you probably in the mindset like last week you don't want Aaron Rodgers to beat you because he's done it time and time again. He's your dad. But Davis Mills has got to beat you tomorrow. You cannot let this running game with Damian Pierce that we're going to talk about get going. You're also forgetting my boy Sexy Rexy Burkhead out of the University of Nebraska, Cornhusker. And we know all about Sexy Rexy's being a Bears fan and the fan base. So you got to make Davis Mills beat you tomorrow, and you got to make him throw. Got to flush from the pocket. But he has to beat you, and I feel like, if he does beat you, you got to tip your cap because it's not. I don't think it's one of those things where he's going to come in and just sling it all over on you. I think some stuff has to go his way, and you have to make some mistakes. So Derek Stingley. Yeah, man, people have done a good job either shutting Mooney down or we just haven't really found rhythm yet. Or, I mean, if you look at it, we haven't had too many drives that have been, methodical and self-sustaining. And, for the most part, I mean, throughout the year, I mean, we have a little bit, but, not to the point where you say you're a comparable offense. So Justin Fields, man, we still want to see we still want to see that it factor. I think this could be a game maybe that just based off of where Houston's at and their rebuild. Both these teams are in a rebuild, so is Justin Fields is just that game that we look back throughout the year and say, man, this is when he took off. Maybe I have a feeling it could be. On paper, it probably should be. I don't know if you noticed, Scott, last week when we were watching Green Bay and the Bears, that first drive that we had, David Montgomery's legs looked just incredibly fresh. Like, man, he had a pep in his step that I hadn't seen really yet. If you go back and look, man, look at how fresh he's running. Kind of reminds me of my high school, college days, man. When I was running from the Popo to the 12, I was booking. I was going. That's a whole nother level of speed, baby. You know what I'm saying? Them legs were fresh. So shout out to Appleton on that one. And so, no, getting him, obviously repeating that, if we get anywhere near the production that we did, I think that'll help chew clock. That'll help sustain drives. That'll help punch it in for 6, which is what we need instead of 3. You talked about Kyler Gordon. Let me just put that stat on you, courtesy of Zach Cruz, I believe his last name is. Last week against Green Bay, Kyler Gordon was targeted 13 times. The Packers made 10 catches for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns against them. So clearly something that they saw that they liked. And if I'm Houston, I'm at least going to go in that direction, at least to start the game, to see where he's at and if he's going to hold his own tomorrow. Damian Pierce, if we're talking fantasy, Damian Pierce is a guy that, yeah, like you said, a lot of people a lot of people took with the ambition of maybe being your your RB2 by the end of the year. Things like our run fits. Again, forcing Davis to have to beat us, even if it's in one-on-one on the back end, I think is important. I think loading the box a little bit. I'm not every play, not every series, but really trying to force their hand a little bit because, again, the Texans playing a dome. Besides Brandon Cooks, no one really stands out. They got guys like Nico Collins. They have David Moore. They have some guys that are okay, that are serviceable, but really the big one's Cooks. And again, man, we have to get Mooney going. Whether that be in a reverse, whether that be not just one bubble, a few bubbles, whether that be just a 5-yard hitch, man, just get the ball into his hands.
Yeah, they did throw to him in that play action pass last week. That would have been a huge gainer, but obviously, it just wasn't there.
No, it can't be the home run. You can't just throw to him the home run every time. Yes, you want to use him in that capacity, in that role, but he's your number one receiver. He's our besides our identity in the passing game. I mean, it's Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is going to be the difference between if we can extend drives, if we can score, if we can stretch the defense. And one more thing, and Raji just slid this to me. Cole Kmet, just for all of our Bear fans that are keeping track, Cole Kmet is on pace for 0 catches for 0 yards and 0 touchdowns. Just to make sure everybody knows kind of the great start he's off to.
Yes. You're previewing our later section, but of course, yes. Cole Kmet, who is that guy? He hasn't shown up yet. It's like Haley's Comet. He only shows up every, 10 years, 11 years? I forget what it is. Maybe that'll be his nickname. Next, you did make a good point about Kyler Gordon getting roasted last week. However, he did save a touchdown on the opening drive for the Packers. So that was something that you're not going to see on a stat sheet. But yeah, and I think they found a lot of matchups last week and knew what to find. And really, we held Rodgers in check for the most part in that game. It was the running game that killed us. So let's talk more about this game now, because we could talk all about that game. But going off the running game, the Texans key running the ball well. If the Packers could do it, they need to utilize that as well. It'll be interesting to see what Pierce can do. Don't know much about him, but apparently he's the guy for them. Can the Texans limit the Bears to field goals? Because for us, I mean, if we can get in the red zone and score touchdowns like we did against San Francisco, almost all our scoring came in the third and fourth quarter. And then last week, we couldn't get it in the end zone. We kept stalling out, and so that was obviously incredibly frustrating. But that's also part of Lovie's identity and all of his philosophy. Again, I was listening to an interview that he did, and he basically said it's not about having the defense that gives up the least amount of yards. It's about having the defense that just doesn't give up touchdowns when you get in the red zone. And also, Lovie's big on creating takeaways. So can they do that? That's going to change the game, obviously. Last week, Fields threw a pick, but the pick kind of didn't matter at the end of the game. But other than that, we were winning in the turnover category until that happened. And then for us, I'd like to see us, again, help Fields flourish. I know that's the last thing on there, but it kind of goes with the first one. Get this running game going from the start to allow the play action pass to open up. What is Getsy going to do as an offensive coordinator to involve some of these guys in a game like Kmet and Mooney and Velus Jones? It looks like he's doubtful from what I last saw, so he's probably not going to play. But we need Pettis and we need St. Brown to emerge more and to find ways to get open, because one of my things with previous Bears quarterbacks, I feel like nobody's ever getting open, and that is why it's so hard to throw the ball to them. And then lastly, we got to stop the run, because if we can't stop the run again, it opens up everything for the opponent. So what do you see here that you think we need to continue to focus on? What will we do well this week, and how do we beat the Texans?
Yeah, obviously the run game on both sides is paramount, and so just going back to the two previous slides, a wise man once told me, if the spread is 3 or under, just take the money line. Okay. Shout out to Tyler Minard, aka Meaty McFly on Twitter for some of you Twitter nerds. Take the money line either way. I don't know. Texans are plus money, but Chicago at home. I mean, pretty solid investment to probably go money line. I don't know the official, but you're probably talking probably minus 150 at least, or a little bit under. So decent odds there. This game could go either way. We were talking about, I don't think there's a chance in heck that this game goes over. The over is at 39. I don't envision that. I don't think these teams have enough offense. And with maybe a little bit of wet conditions and crummy weather, I just don't see this game going over. So an under, I think, is definitely like we called in the 49ers game week 1. We hit that on the head, saying that it would be under. I think this is going to be pretty similar. Back to keys of the game. Fast forward. It's the return of the Lovie Smith game, round 2, right? Return of Lovie Smith. You mentioned he came this way. We played them with the Buccaneers. I don't know, what did you say, 2014 or something like that? Might have been. Obviously, the fans are going to give him a little bit of love. A lot's changed since he left, obviously, right? I mean,
I think they appreciate him a lot more now than they did when he was the coach.
Yes,
just because
100%.
There's been so many other guys.
100%. And even myself, I fall in that category. I think I got tired of, once the defense went, you know what I'm saying? That's when I think then I kind of went as far as being a Lovie fan. But not many people that grow a better beard than me, and he might be one of them. So, no, just getting back to the keys of the game. Like I said, a couple things I'd like to see. I think just from talking on Justin Fields, some more RPO stuff. I know we don't want Justin running too much, but just open up that door with RPO and I know that's a run pass option, but typically when we say RPO, it's just your mesh handoff with you and the running back. But I haven't seen a lot of that passing option integrated in that. So I think that'd be a cool wrinkle to throw in, especially with the fact that, Houston's not a defensive stalwart. So I think you can kind of, there's a lot of guys there that I didn't even know who they were. I mean, we were going through the list, and it's like, there's some ex-Bears in there. Shout out to Jonathan. We got some Griffs in there. There are some good quality players on that side, but not necessarily the household names we're used to. The J.J. Watts, Jadeveon Clowneys, Brian Cushings, Antonio Cromartie, I think, was with the Texans too. So I'm really going back here and dating myself, but things are different now. Dameon Pierce is averaging 3.9 yards a carry, which isn't great. It's not terrible either, but it's not great through 2 weeks. So he is getting touches, but he isn't necessarily letting that translate into yards. And so one more thing, I think for me, 2 big injuries on our side, which I think play a factor, is Roquan Smith going to play? And if he does, what percent is he? He's dealing with a hip injury, and obviously hips are everything, in sports, but in football as well, linebacking, drop back, attacking, planning and going. Jalen Johnson's the other one. He's only been targeted 3 times this year through 2 games. So clearly he's either doing a good job or teams are just trying to stay away from him right now as far in the passing game. So probably undoubtedly our 2 best defensive players are possibly not going to play tomorrow. So those are 2 big factors that I'm looking at. And like I said, I expect it to kind of be a sluggish, kind of ugly kind of game. But deep down, man, I would love Justin Fields to just explode, kind of like Trubisky did against the Bucs with his 5 touchdown passes, and just he couldn't do wrong on that day. And I don't know if that was week 3. I know that was pretty early in the year.
It was week 3, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I just called it like Greg Amsinger called Albert Pujols a 7th home run. I don't know if you saw that at all, but Greg Amsinger called Pujols a 700 home run back in April. He said Albert Pujols is going to hit 7 home runs. in late September on a Friday night in Los Angeles. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to see some career highs, but most likely, guys, I think we're going to see another kind of a sloppy game, and hopefully, who can make the most stops and just be smart with the football.
Yeah. So I did some research, and the Bears played Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith came back to Chicago in 2014, and the Bears won 21-13. Jay Cutler was 17 of like 30 for 170 yards or something.
Efficient.
But Matt Forte had 23 carries, 89 yards, and 2 scores. Josh McCown was playing for the Bucks, and he had like 385 yards, but he also had 2 interceptions. Then the Bears played the Bucks again in 2015, and the Bears won 26-21. These are like games that I don't have a recollection of, which is surprising.
We didn't miss Lovie, I guess, as the players on the players' side. But
that Tampa game was the second to last game of the year, so it was probably around Christmas time, and nobody really cared. We were coming off a 3-game losing streak, so we were 5-6, but lost 3 in a row. Then we won this one. Yeah, so pretty exciting stuff. Both times Cutler did not throw for over 200 yards, so that would make me think, if history stays consistent, that Fields will not throw for 200 yards in tomorrow's game.
You think they still play cover 2 Tampa scheme down there?
Absolutely.
From what I heard, I think that from what I'm just talking with football guys, nothing crazy. I think that system died a long time ago. But I don't think a lot of teams are able to play it like they used to anymore. Is what I'm saying. So one last thing, man. Like I told you, I don't think we didn't get to Rodgers very often. Now there was a couple nice sacks. I did like that. I did really enjoy Robert Quinn putting his helmet between Aaron Rodgers' shoulder blades and driving him to the ground last weekend. But again, are we just going to see rushing four dropping 7? What is our defensive coordinator Alan Williams have planned this week? Again, man, like I just think Davis Mills is just a duck waiting to get whacked, man. So he's obviously not going to scramble. He's not going to move. I think Aaron Rodgers even has very underrated mobility, but Davis Mills does not fall into that category. He's a borderline statue. So statue of an ostrich. So one more thing I have for you, Scott, before we move on. Are we still good?
Yeah.
That's great. By the way, we still all right? Okay.
We're alive.
All right. We're live, fans. So we're live, and it's getting close to 1 here.
Central Standard Time.
We have a new segment. It's called the Scott Stumper of the Day.
Oh.
So Scott doesn't know that I've been
good try.
Me and Raji have been doing some research. I'm going to ask Scott a random question here. Scott is not allowed to use technology, so he needs to put his phone up right now. He cannot touch his keyboard. And so here we go. Scott just got up. He just hit some smelling salt real quick for our viewers at home. And so, okay, so on the NFL Hall of Fame ballot, which is this year, 2020-23,
oh no,
there are 6 players that were coached by Lovie Smith. Who are they?
They're all Bears, right? That's what you're saying.
Yes, I believe they're all Bears. The last one on this list, I'm like 99% sure he was, but don't hold me to it. But I'm fairly certain they were all Bears. Yes.
You got Devin Hester because he was on it last year.
Ding ding ding.
Lance Briggs.
Ding.
Charles Tillman.
Ding ding ding.
That's 3.
That's 3. Got 3 left.
Olin Kreutz.
There's your 4th. Some say they thought they wanted him as the Bears' next head coach.
That would have been. I would have liked that.
Got 2 left. Think of another offensive lineman here.
Really?
Yeah. So this is the one that I'm a little skeptical that he may have had in Tampa, but I'm pretty sure we had him in Chicago.
John Tate.
What's that?
Jonathan Tate?
Not Jonathan Tate.
It's not him?
It's not Jonathan Tate. How about the name Reuben Brown?
I do remember Reuben Brown.
Okay.
Was he on our team when we went to the
Last one.
Super
This
Bowl?
might stump you the most.
I think I know the last one. Musin Muhammad.
Okay. Hey, the guy he used to do like the cross between his
Oh,
legs.
he did. That was so cool.
Drop the football. I love that.
And everybody would go Moose every time he caught the ball. Yeah.
Musin Muhammad, which kind of surprised me. I didn't really think
he was a good possession wide receiver, and he had good seasons with the Panthers before he was a Bears player. So, and I think he went back to the Panthers, maybe with Cam Newton even. I don't know. But he was a great possession wide receiver. He really was. If you watch the Super Bowl from 2004 or 3, it was 03 when the Panthers played the Steelers. The Panthers played the Patriots. Musin Muhammad had some great plays in that game. That was an amazing Super Bowl.
See, I always thought he did have he was a great possession receiver, but then he would have those moments where he would drop those balls. He would just have a drop, and it was the worst timing.
That's true. But there were a lot of that when Rex Grossman's throwing the ball, too.
Straight ducks, homie.
Yeah. Not in that September of 2006. He was on fire. He was like NFC Offensive Player of the Month or something. But then he started to have a downslide after the Cardinals game where he had 6 turnovers or something like that.
5 out of 6. That's not bad, buddy. That's not bad for 1 a.m. on a Saturday.
Not too bad. Yeah. All right. We're moving on. That was a long segment. Specific predictions. So, Pierce over 120 yards. Why not? Because the Packers had almost 2 guys over 100, I think. What are you thinking? We'll just go quick.
I think that, that's fair. I think Burkhead steals some yardage, so I'm going to say under.
Okay. Davis Mills over 2 touchdowns. This could be running and passing, so 1 running, 1 passing. Who knows? What do you think?
I'm gonna say I think he gets 1, but I don't think he gets 2. I think the Bears hold tall. I don't think Houston scores more than 13, 14 points tomorrow. Today.
Lovie Smith talks well of Bears.
Say that again.
Lovie Smith talks well of Bears, like in the post-game interview.
Lovie Smith talks well about everybody. He would talk well about the devil, man. He's just a great. No offense, I don't mean anything by that comment, but he's a really good human being, and what I liked most about him, he's one hell of a leader of men.
Yeah.
He really was. That's what he brought to our organization when he was
here. I put this one on there, and absolutely he's going to do that. Cole Kmet makes a catch.
Dude, I hope so. I mean, dude, we're gonna start to look like a bunch of jackwagons if Cole Kmet doesn't start producing a little bit. I mean, things could spiral out of control, if you know what I mean. I mean, I really think I hope so. I don't, but at this point, like I told you, he's on his pace. I don't know, Scott. No, I'm gonna say he gets a grab. I'm gonna say he gets 3 grabs tomorrow.
He's breaking the streak.
He gets 2 grabs or 3 grabs.
He's
3 for 35.
He's gonna triple his output. Okay. Dominic Robinson, rookie, late round pick. He's had a good first 2 games. A sack and a half week 1 and a fumble recovery last week. Makes a sack this week. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, by now, obviously, people are circling him, right? Like, he's not unknown anymore. I think I'm going to say no. I think this is a Robert Quinn game where Robert Quinn just starts throwing people around and spitting and snarling and just
doing his thing. Yeah.
acting like Mongo. Okay. Shout out to Mongo.
All right, and then the last one, the over/under, 30 points. What are you thinking?
On 30? Under 30? Ooh.
Because it was 39, but I made this even more interesting because last week, I think the Broncos won 16-9 over the Texans, and then the Texans tied the Colts week 1, 2020.
Yeah, that was a hideous game. I was watching. That was a brutal game to watch last week, wasn't it? Everybody's questioning Russell Wilson now because he could not really produce last week.
Yep.
Over under 30. I'm gonna go right on the head. I'm gonna say it's a draw. I say he hits 30. I say it's exactly 30. tomorrow.
Dang.
Today.
All right. Here's my prediction. Bears 21, Texans 17. So there you go. 38 points total. So I'm taking the under over the actual. That didn't make sense. I'm taking the under in the actual over-under of 39.
I say Bears 13, Bears 17, Texans 13. My math's correct. It's late.
Nice. That'd be awesome. And like, I feel like this is a lot of points considering the Bears have scored 19 and the Texans are averaging both these teams are averaging under 20 points a game. So, yeah. I guess it's only been 2 games. Anything can happen. All right. Well, that will do it for this edition of Turn Up Bear Down. We are glad that you've stopped by and consumed this amazing content to prepare yourself for a wonderful Week 3 game. Let's hope it rains so we can have a repeat of Week 1. You got anything else to say to the people?
No, man. I'll tell you what. I think remember, this is, before the season started, we said how many wins we're going to have. This is definitely a game we circled as one that we would think we would be able to get. So
absolutely,
that's where I'm going with that. So it's a game you're supposed to win. Go out and win it. Play your heart out. Go make some noise, and continue the trend of sending Lovie home, saying that we're a good football team, but we didn't play good today. So
yeah. Well, that'll be it for us here at Turn Up Bear Down. So don't forget to turn up and bear down. Thanks for stopping by. Later, Bears fans.